I want to go back to another memory of New York. It got me thinking about it with the push broom. Because I was living on 68th Street. You were down the street.
You were 2468.
I was 2468, and you were down the street 24.
I was never good with addresses.
No, you were four. You were 3 buildings down, 2 or 3 buildings down.
Yeah.
And one evening, I think I called you. I can't remember who called who. You said, I thought you were in a Greek restaurant because I could hear smashing and crashing behind you, the tinkle of ceramic on floors. What I was imagining.
Oh God, I know.
And I said, "What's going on?" You said, "You have to come and see this." I said, "Well, what's happening?" He said, "I can't even describe this. It's something you must see with your eyes." And I went to your house. Now, please tell everybody what I saw.
You saw a kind of Armageddon. You saw the wake of a disaster that would be most associated, I would think, with a flood or some kind of a hurricane.
Mm-hmm.
What happened began a week earlier when I was running late for my train to go down to Baltimore, and I was in the shower of an apartment I was subletting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is important. I'm subletting it.
It's somebody else's
This is somebody else's thing, and I've been living in there about 3 months. And I'm in the shower, and the water goes off. I'm fully lathered, right? I'm covered in soap, and I'm late for a train.
Yeah.
And I'm turning the knobs off, but this water's gone. So I clean up as best I can. I go to the train. I make it. I get to Baltimore. I'm filming down there all week. I come back a week later, this day you're describing, and I put my hand on the doorknob on the outside, and it was not hot, but it was warm. How could the doorknob be warm, I thought to myself. In the reptilian part of my brain, something said, hey, go easy opening this door. You're getting a message. But I couldn't imagine what it could have meant. I opened the door, Nathan, and all of the paint was hanging off of the wall like a giant sunburned back that had been peeling. There was fog and steam in the air. Everything looked soaked, but there was no water on the ground. It was inconceivable. But what I had done in the shower, apparently, these knobs, these faucets were threaded backwards.
Yes.
So rather than the direction you would think would be off, I turned the cold water off, but the hot water stayed on, even though it wasn't coming out. So when the water in the building was reactivated, for approximately 1 week, burning hot magma came out of my shower head.
Because New York water is hot.
It's lava hot,
Yeah.
man. It's
So,
no,
so that everybody can share, that everybody has enough hot water. They had to.
Not that week. Not that week.
Was it still hot when you turned it off?
The people in the building had been complaining all week that their water wasn't getting hot, and then it wasn't even getting warm because it had all emptied. Earlier that day, it was all the hot water was gone, and all of the steam from all of that incredible hot water had filled my apartment. And when you called,
Sorry,
me,
not your apartment. The
Someone
person who
else's
owned it,
apartment.
who
his
you were
name was
subletting
Russ,
from.
and his dad, I forgot his name, but I mean that was a rough call.
I gotta believe it
Rough
was.
call, because it was destroyed. It was destroyed. What did you see when you walked in?
I saw piles of what looked like delicate porcelain lined with fine layers of color. So I assumed, if anybody's been to a New York apartment, they see that every time someone else moves in, they just roller over everything with a thick white.
Yeah.
The windows are glued shut.
Right.
The light switches, you have to break the seal to get them working again. So everybody knows no one's taking off the outlet covers to paint. They're just painting right over everything.
Right.
They're in a rush. And all of those layers, and I'd probably thinking about it now, probably down to back when they used to use lead paint. Probably came off in there. Some real toxic steamed lead for your pink lungs. I would say, though, you probably got yourself an extra 7 square feet in that apartment.
I had more headroom than I recalled. That's for sure.
And while standing there talking to you, I would watch the pieces fall behind you and shatter on the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh God.
And you kind of sighed and got your broom, and pushing it into the closest pile. These big piles.
I mean, like, I talk about foreshadowing for dirty jobs. I mean, that little did I know that would be repeated many, many, many times with a full camera crew. Moments like that, but it is, dude. It's demoralizing. I mean, obviously, it wasn't my property, so it could have been worse.
Yeah.
But when you think about coming home into a place that's been damaged by floods, or like in my world where sewage backups have resulted in these fecal fountains of filth in people's homes, and you're literally knee deep in your neighbor's scat, trying to, like, some cleanup jobs are just so overwhelming that I wasn't crying in sadness, but I was weeping as those chunks fell and shattered, because each one just was a reminder that I had made a terrible mistake, and I was really not going to pay a price for it. I just had to explain to these people, it's because there's no renter's insurance.
How can you be mad, though? How can you be mad? That story is worth its weight in gold.
You know what? I should write it down, I suppose. But I'll tell you what we did later that night. You were nice. You kind of helped me clean up a bit, and then you were like, you know what? We should go over to Harry's, get a drink.
I miss that about New York, having like walking home from work and someone calls from the other side of the street. Hey, I'm going to a movie at 6. Want to go? I got an extra ticket. Yeah, okay, I'll meet you there. And the movie theater's just 1 block over. And then you're walking past this place to go get your laundry, and someone knocks on the window from inside a restaurant, and they go, come on, and you stop in, you have a bite, meeting your neighbors and being cool about it. I miss the forthwithness of New Yorkers, of the East Coast. I miss that.
Do you think that's brought about by proximity?
Yes.
I do too.
The isolation of Los Angeles, people aren't dealing with people, people are dealing with cars all the time. It's just, that is I believe that full on. You are upfront with people all the time. Just a couple of years ago, I was in New York, and my GPS was not, it was spinning. I don't know what was going on. I'm just looking at it going, this is not, I'm looking at the street, and I'm going, I don't need, this guy comes next to me, goes, what are you looking for? What is this place here? I can't even tell. He goes, oh, you're on the wrong street. You need to go 1 more over and then down that way. That's the way. He's just tired of me being lost.
Yeah, exactly. That's the difference between New York and LA in so many ways.
Yeah.
The kindness that happens in New York is often delivered with a brusqueness and almost an exasperation. It's like they're really not doing it for you. They're being kind just because we just got to get you out of the slipstream.
I can't watch this anymore, man.
Exactly.
I can't watch this anymore.
Exactly. I love that. Here's one. I got one for you.
Go.
It's winter.
Okay.
We'd had a lot of snow, and you go a little stir crazy in New York with the snow. It's kind of fun, but it's kind of weird. And you and I wound up going out one evening. There was a lot of snow on the ground, and the streets had been plowed, and you said, I know a guy. I want to take a ride. And I know a guy. And I'm like, I have no idea where this is going. But you were dating a girl at the time. I forget her name. But I walked down to 2468. She was there, and you were there, and we were sitting around. You had a fireplace that you kept filled with candles.
That's right.
Like dozens of candles.
Yeah, big, thick white ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we were sitting around just enjoying the snow and relaxing. And you made this phone call, and this guy shows up in this car. It's like a Duesenberg or something, like a 1945, like Dick Tracy car. And on the roof of this car is a martini glass, about 5 feet tall. and the martini glass is it's made of neon.
Yeah.
And it's being fed by some battery inside the car. So it's like purple and red. And also in neon on the car was the name of the bar he owned.
I'm trying to remember the name of the bar, but that was he was always parking at the thing up front, and it was a beautiful sign, and
it was called the High Life.
Thank you, the High Life.
And you were like, let's take a ride in the High Life car. I'm like, what are you even talking about? And it's snowing, and there might have been some frosty beverages and whatnot involved, and we were in such a fun, happy place. And now I'm in the back of this car with you and this girl, and we're driving through the snow in Manhattan, and everybody we passed was just looking at us. Because you can imagine...
The streets were nearly empty, too, because people didn't want to drive on that stuff.
Right. But people were walking because people want to be out. So I'm in the back of this car with these two people with the words High Life in neon, and the snow's coming down, and I could see the people looking at us. I could see the envy on their faces. They didn't quite know who we were or where we were going, but there was a party in that car.
We were clearly having a ball.
You were living the high life.
And later that night, Chuck, again, there's some blank spaces, but we wound up behind the Tavern on the Green.
Those incredible lights in the trees.
And we were lying on our backs, and I swear to God, we were making snow angels. Now, I'm 38 at this point, which means you're probably 20, 29.
23 or 24.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, I might. You know what? I was younger. I must be 9 years. I'm 62.
53.
There you go. I got 9 years on you.
There you go.
So I'm lying here with this dude, just Joey Buchanan, soap star, with this girl who's just a kick. I don't remember. I don't even know if you remember who I'm talking about.
I think I remember exactly who you're talking about.
I don't want to get too detailed, but
her name was Heidi.
Yeah.
She was hilarious.
Do you remember a mason jar?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Her father was a mycologist.
Yes. Please explain to the folks what a mycologist does.
He's a doctor in the study of mushrooms, and he would send her what he called an earth ball, and she would roll it out in her closet and water it in a little Tupperware dish, and then she'd come and pluck out the mushrooms that came out of it later and dehydrate them, and that would fill your evening. That was some lovely times.
What a time.
You got to unpack that a little bit more. What?
Well, I mean, I don't want to spell it out, but the miracle of psilocybin is a thing that's been experienced by.
And her dad sent her this?
Yes.
Yes.
Her dad, I believe, the way she told it to me was I think she might have used the words pioneer in the field.
Yes, she said, if there was a problem, a real problem, someone, a police officer wanted to harass you about those things, that you could get off because they're not illegal because there's no such thing as them.
Right. Right.
He had invented his own strain that is not listed as any illegal substance.
It's kind of like that Bright Lights, Big City. You ever read that? Jay McInerney. It's a famous book, takes place.
I've heard of it.
In New York, and it's just what's interesting about it is he wrote it in the second person, right? Very unusual, not first person. I did this. I went in. Not third person. He went in. She saw him. But you, right? You wake up. You look around. You're not exactly sure what happened the night before, but the doorknob was warm, and what used to be an apartment now looks like the DMZ. You shake your head and you say to yourself, what the hell were you thinking, Mike? All you had to do was turn off, right? So it's that. Everything is set like that. That evening, I was thinking of Jay and that book as we were making snow angels behind the Tavern on the Green with this girl, Heidi, and all of this completely legal substance that was somehow making the snow and the high life all the more interesting. And like my internal monologue is going, you were minding your own business. You got a phone call. Your buddy says he knew a guy with a car and a girl with a mason jar. You say, all right, let's take a ride. And now you're making snow angels behind the Tavern on the Green.
If you like what you heard,
And even if you don't,
won't you please,
pretty please, subscribe. Well, I hate to beg and I hate to plead, but please, pretty freaking please, please.